My name is William Muller. I'm the founder and CEO of Dealers Online, and this is Richard.
I'm head up the innovation team at Dealers Online. I'm responsible mainly for developing the new product and features on the online auction marketplace.
I worked in the dealer network for one of the bigger groups. In 2007, I had a few of my own issues that I needed to fix, and I decided to start an online auction, which everyone thought was a little bit crazy in 2007, and not many people were online as such. But yeah, we developed a solution and it's been going since then. Starting my own business wasn't really what I had in mind at the time when I started. I was just looking at fixing my own issues that I had in the industry. I had a lot of vehicles that I didn't want to retail. I wanted to get rid of them and I wanted to maximize. So I decided to start an online auction where the traders could actually come look at our assets without having to speak to me specifically, and then bid against each other, and giving us a better opportunity to maximize on the vehicles we didn't want to retail but still make a profit. So since 2007, so that is 16 years. Because I don't actually stand up and shout numbers, we created a software that allows buyers and sellers to load vehicles and buy vehicles or any other asset, for instance. I think just to see a system being in operation where they can use it without us even being involved. But obviously we do some of the turnkey solutions for some of the bigger corporates and banks where we do everything for them. But you can also use the software yourself as a dealer without us being involved. I think that's the most exciting part, is just seeing how this network has grown amongst the users without us having to sell anymore. The system does it for us.
I love the dynamics of the auction marketplace, specifically because an asset's value is subjective. It's what someone's willing to pay. So being able to find out who's prepared to pay the most is a very effective way of being able to have confidence that you're getting the best price for an asset when it comes time to sell. And it's something that's very interesting, just the way that the dynamics of the auction unfold and the competition between the buyers within the marketplace and what that does for, essentially being able to maximize, as William said. So we're very passionate about that. And then I think the other side, which is the transparency that comes along with the marketplace and what confidence that brings also to our corporate clients, particularly that are disposing of assets knowing that they're doing so, under strict governance.
I've got a few, not specifically in the auction industry. Coming from the motor trade, there's been a lot of businesses that have grown over the years. So I worked with quite a few groups, and I've followed, I'm not going to mention too many names here because especially this is a bit out, but I've followed quite a few of my peers over the years because I started very young in the motor trade. I've actually been in for 30 years. So yes, seen a lot of people come and go and followed a lot of them along the way. Starting my own business, as I said earlier, I didn't decide to start my own business. I was fixing my own problem, and then realized while I was doing that not only I had that problem, there was a lot of other clients or dealerships that were similar to me that needed the same solution. So I left the corporate environment and then started Dealers Online and went to some of my competitors in the day and said, listen, we're doing very well on this solution. What about you using it? And when they saw the types of profitability or profit they could make, it was a game changer for them. They had to do it.
Well, my journey's been quite eventful, but I've been very fortunate. I mean, you mentioned the question earlier about mentorship, but William's definitely been a mentor to me, and over the last 4 years that I've been involved in the business, everything that I know about the automotive trade and auction, it's funny, no one would have thought that they'd grown to love auction, but William's helped me find a love for the auction sort of mechanism. So yeah, I think it's incredibly exciting, and I think auction can do a lot more for markets to be able to facilitate the transactions more efficiently than typically the negotiated sale in terms of the actual transfer of ownership. When assets need to find a new life.
So the challenges, that's an interesting question. So there has been a few. I think firstly, scaling a business, taking the chance and doing something yourself and going out there and not only selling your business, but selling yourself and selling your idea. It's challenging, believe me. The capital, making sure you've got enough money, and especially when you have to bring on new staff and pay them a decent wage. I think those are all big challenges, but we've pushed through. The business is profitable, it's doing well. But I think then being an online business, the other challenge is actually software. How the dynamics of the software business has changed since 2007 is extreme. As you can see, there's a bit of a generation gap here. When I started, there was only certain things. Now there's social media, there's all the dynamics that goes with that. There's no code, low code. So we needed young, dynamic people to join us and take us to the next level. And I think that's been one of the challenges, but also the reward out of this.
I think, to add to the aspects of like where some of the challenges lie nowadays, I think one of it from our side is knowing what to build and building the right things that people actually use, because you can spend a lot of time and money and resources building features that aren't necessarily utilized by users, but you think that they might be or that. So the decision making around in the software development process as to what you choose to build and decisions you make to enrich and add features to the platform. And then the other side of things, I think, is more like trust within the marketplace. And that's an ongoing, never-ending kind of challenge. I think particularly you couple used cars, auction. Already, there's a big trust deficit there, and buyers and sellers line up on either side of the table. And a lot of the time there's misalignment of incentives, and that often can create sort of like negative outcomes. So for us, it's something we take a great degree of care in, is, trying our best to be able to mediate the actual transactions and the relationships that form between sort of buyers and sellers. So that's something that's, I think, a challenge that's very core to the purpose of the business, and really about like fairness and transparency and trust, because ultimately that means that the transactions can happen at much faster and at a lower cost and potentially at a better price, which, makes the whole market more efficient. And if the market's more efficient, there's more value there for end users, particularly that, we think of ourselves almost as like the plumbing of the industry. So the lower the costs, the better and fairer the prices and more transparency in this part, the better it is for the end consumer who buys the vehicle from a dealership.
We've mentioned auction a few times now. So our speciality is actually not auctioning. It's more software providing for selling vehicles or selling assets. So we've become a software business, not an auction business. And I think our business is more a sales process than it is actually an auction. I mean, the old days, the auction was you go to an auction, they shout the numbers, and the guy that pays the most bids gets the vehicle or the asset. We've created a process where you're trying to maximize it. You don't go to our site to get something free or cheap or anything like that. It's you're going to maximize. You're going to pay a top dollar for it because you've got nationwide bidders on it on a daily basis. We run our platform 6 days a week. So that's very important to know. We obviously in South Africa, nationally, we have warehousing around the country, which we store vehicles for some of our clients. We have an instance in Kenya, in Kuwait, Dubai, Qatar, Namibia, Botswana, Tanzania, Zambia. There's quite a few. We're always looking at expanding. Wherever our clients want to be or are on their way to, we go, especially on the software as a service side. It's very important for us to grow that part of the business.
I think to add to that, because of the position that we play in the market, we often, because we facilitate in the sale, we often get the opportunity to have interesting, insightful conversations with our clients about their needs. And, that uniquely positions us to be able to kind of develop solutions and new products to be able to solve new needs or emergent sort of solve old problems to sort of new issues that they're facing. So I think for us, we've got like quite a long roadmap and quite a big pipeline of work in terms of where we want to be able to take the product and the platform into the future.
Our company's biggest accomplishment, I think, is taking it internationally. It was very, we started, as I said, in 2007. We first went overseas 4 years ago. And I think that is actually taking it to a market that we thought had everything, knew better than us. we realized that we'd actually created something very decent for our country as well as other countries. So that problem that I said we tried to solve was not just in South Africa, it was in the rest of the world as well. And I think that was our biggest accomplishment, have our first client on the other side of the world.
I think it's that problem is indicative to any market, to every asset in any industry, and it really resolves around how do I get the best price, when it comes time to be able to sell. And that is something that is not going to change. The tools that we use to be able to do that evolve, and they should evolve. But the core need to be able to have a sense of confidence that you are achieving the best price possible when selling your asset is something that we provide to our clients.
Any good organization needs to be part of an organization that keeps the guardrails up and keeps it legit. And I think SAIA is a good part of that type of organization for us to make sure everyone's legit. And the auction industry has always had a bit of a stigma attached to it, like a used car dealer. So I think it's good to be part of an organization that keeps everyone legit and is known by the consumers, the customers, that we're doing the right thing, the right way.
I think that definitely gives a sense of credibility, and I think an independent sort of affiliation is something that's very much needed to know that the industry is being held to certain standards, and that there's some sort of recourse or framework to resolve any sort of issues that might arise. So I think its function is very important, and obviously the membership for us is something that we value.